I'm Timotab, and today I'm going to solve Thrown Shade by Crusader175 and Michael Lefkowitz, who is also known as Juggler. If you would like to try solving this puzzle for yourself, it will be the first link in the description. Let's have a look at the rules. We are going to place the digits 1 to 9 in every row and column. There are no boxes. So digits 1 to 9 in every row and column. And without repetition. Shade an orthogonally connected area of the grid. So we are going to shade a group of cells. Let's do the dark green. Something like this. It could have more here. But I will note that this is not an orthogonally connected area because they only touch by a corner. And of course, as one is completely isolated, then it's not connected at all. Okay. The lined cells are shaded, so these two are shaded, and the X is unshaded. If two shaded cells are in the same row or column and are n steps apart, they differ by exactly n. So if these two cells were shaded, then the difference between them would be 1 because they are 1 step apart. And if a digit n appears in the shaded area, it appears exactly n times in the shaded area. So if I had some shadedness here and I had a 3 here, then somewhere within the puzzle there would be 2 more 3s that were shaded and therefore 6 unshaded. Okay, I am going to restart the puzzle to reset the timer, and let's begin. Well, we are told that these two are shaded and this is unshaded, so let's start with that. We are also told that if two shaded digits are in the same row or column and are n steps apart, then they differ by exactly n. Well, these are 8 cells apart, and therefore they differ by 8, and therefore they must be 1 and 9. That tells me two things. Number one, it tells me that that one of these is the only one that is shaded in the puzzle. And the other thing it tells me is that all the 9s are going to be shaded. So, where does that take us? This seems awfully light on information. Okay. It has to be to do with this row, I think. Or, well, possibly this one. So we know we have to connect all these together. And we know that we're going to have 9 shaded digits. So we know that there's going to be that every row and every column is going to have at least 1 shaded digit in. If that were a 2, say, if that were shaded, it would have to be then that could be a 2, and that would be a 1. That would be 9, and they would be 7 apart. That would work. If that were shaded, 3 or 6 would work there. If that were shaded, 4 or 5, no, 4 or, wait, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, 2 would work there, but 8 would work there. Okay, that would be 2 or 8. That would be 3 or 7. That would be 4 or 6. That would be 5. That would be 4 or 6. And would that work for the whole row? Because if that were 2, and that were 3, they would be 1 apart, and that would work. If that were 4, they would be 2 apart, and that would work. And that would be 3, 4. Yeah, so I could have 2 through 8 or 8 through 2, they're just fine. But I don't know that I have to. Okay. Okay. I know I need to have a 1. I know I need to have a 9 in every column. Supposing this were a 1, where would I put the 9 in the column? And the answer is, can't put it anywhere because I can't put it there because all the 9s have to be shaded, but anywhere else it would be too close for the restriction. So that can't be a 1, that has to be a 9, that has to be a 1. Now, there's no negative restriction, so as far as I can tell, that can still be a 1. Yes, if 2 shaded cells are in the same row or column and are n steps apart, then they differ by exactly n. It doesn't tell me that if 2 digits differ by n and are n steps apart, they must both be shaded. So that could still be a 1. I don't see that any of those have to be shaded. They can be. Okay. I do have a 9 somewhere in this column. That has to go there. And must be shaded. Am I going to get a weird shading pattern? Now my 1 in this row can go anywhere as far as I can tell. It just has to be unshaded. Could be there, doesn't have to be. All right. Do I have to have a shaded 8? Because that would be quite telling. Right, it is not required that the unshaded area is orthogonally connected. Only that the shaded area is. Okay, so one of these two has to be shaded because I've got to get to its friends. And therefore, one of them has to be an 8. Right, okay. One of those has to be connected. So I have an 8 in one of those two. One of those has to be shaded, so I have a 2 there. One of those has to be shaded, so I have to have an 8 there. And now I'm going to have 8 8s that are shaded. And both of those could be 8 because we're not dealing with Sudoku. Okay. If this is shaded and this is not, then that's not a 2. Then one of those, in order to connect, has to be a 3. So one of those is going to be a 3, at least. But does it have to be all of them? So if that's an 8, then that could be a 9. But that doesn't even have to be shaded. I feel like I'm missing something. Because if both of those were shaded, which they could well be, okay, both of those can't be shaded because they would now have to be, so only one of those is shaded. Right. Okay. Okay, so the other thing is this pattern has to be symmetrical because there's nothing to remove the symmetry. So, yeah, there's nothing to disambiguate any symmetry. So the result has to be symmetrical along this diagonal. So if this were a 2, right, it has to be symmetrical. So if this is a 2, then that can't be an 8, but one of these has to be an 8 in order to allow this to orthogonally connect. Therefore, that's an 8, and that's a 2. So, and then that's going to apply either way. So those two are both shaded. Those two are both shaded. And these and 8s, and these two are unshaded. Okay. So now, where does that leave us? Right. One of those two is a 7 because we have to connect. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that would have the wrong difference with this 2. So that's the shaded one, and that's a 7. And the exact same argument applies here. That is not no, that is a spurious argument, because that could be a 9 and shaded. Okay. Right, I have to have a 3 in one of those, at least. No, I don't, because that could be a 1. Nope, that would be an unshaded 1. If that were a 1, it would be unshaded. I have no more 2s that are shaded. Okay. Right, if that's a 1, it's unshaded. If it's any other digit than a 1, it's unshaded because it... Right, if that's a 1, it's unshaded because I've had all my shaded ones. If it's any digit other than a 1 or a 3, then it's unshaded because it's not connecting with the 2 in the right way. Therefore, that's either a shaded 3 or it's unshaded. All right. Could this be a shaded 9? It could. Or it would be unshaded, because that couldn't be a 7, because although that would match with an 8, that wouldn't match with this 2. So that's a shaded 9, or it's unshaded. But if that's a shaded 9, then that would have to be a shaded 8, because that couldn't be. This is tricky. Right. Where does my... right. Where does my shaded 9 go in this row? It has to go here. Right. My shaded 9 has to go here, because otherwise it's not going to pair up with this 8. So my shaded 9 has to go here. And now that can't be an 8, therefore that's unshaded. That can't be an 8, therefore it's unshaded. And now this has to get out. That has to be, well, no, because it could get out this way. I have one unshaded 8. The 8 in this row is going to be unshaded, because even if it's there, it's unshaded. Wait, why is... Yes, that's unshaded because of up here, right. So the 8 in this row is unshaded. That is my one unshaded 8. But the 8 in this column is unshaded. That's my one unshaded 8. So that's an 8. Okay, that has to be right. So where's my shaded 8 in this column? It has to be next to the 9. Where's my shaded 8 in this row? It has to be next to the 9. Okay. And now, where's my shaded 9 in this row? It has to be next to the 8. And the shaded 9 in this column has to be next to the 8. Okay, I can start to see the pattern coming. Where is the shaded 8 in this row? It has to be here, and that has to be 1 as well. Where is the shaded 9 in this row and in this column? That has to be those. Where is the shaded 8 in this column and in this column, this row, sorry, that has to be those two. And where's the shaded 9 in this row and column? That has to be there. Oh, other way around. Okay, now 9 can only go next to a shaded 8. Therefore, all of these are unshaded. Let's do that. And now I can't have any of these be shaded. So they do all have to be unshaded. It just took a little while to get my brain again because I couldn't connect them. All right. So now what? Remembering that I have to prove all of the appropriate logic. So I have to have a shaded 7 somewhere on here, because I have to connect the 8 to something, and it can't connect to a 9 because I've got all the 9s in place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So in order to get 7 shaded 7s in place, all of these have to be shaded 7s. And now I need to connect to a 6. And as soon as I connect to one 6, I have to have 6 shaded 6s, and this is the only way I can fit 6 shaded 6s in. I now have to connect to a 5. I need to do that in one of these 5 places. Once I have one shaded 5, I need 5 shaded 5s, and this is the only place I can put 5 shaded 5s in. And likewise, those are shaded 4s, those are shaded 3s. Okay, and now those have to be 1s. And then in this row and this column, those have to be 1s. And now these have to be all 1s. These have to be where the 2s go. These are the 3s. These are the 4s. These are the 5s. These are the 6s. Oh. And these are the 7s. That is an interesting little puzzle because it takes a little to figure out the proof. But once you've got the row of 9s, the 9s and the 8s in place, place that 8. That all becomes unshaded. That makes all of this is unshaded. And then you have to connect to a 7, but the only way to get the 7 7s in such that they're all in different rows and columns is that pattern. Very nice. I really enjoyed that. Thank you to Crusader175 and Michael for the puzzle. If you enjoyed this solve, then please hit the like button. You can subscribe to see more, and I would love to hear your comments. I'm looking forward to next time. Be seeing you.